From completely different mid-card warriors adding similar prestige to their respective titles, to the difference between both companies' most active performers, it's time to look at those crazy WWE and AEW comparisons that aren't as nonsensical as you may initially think. Gareth here from What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 absurd AEW versus WWE comparisons that make total sense. Number 10, PAC had a higher win percentage in WWE than AEW. The mighty PAC doesn't have as strong an AEW win percentage as you'd probably expect. At time of recording, the Geordie bastard only holds a rather underwhelming 64.86% win rate in the land of All Elite, so it's worth noting that he's picked up significant wins over Kenny Omega, Adam Page, Orange Cassidy, and Eddie Kingston during his 74 matches with the company. However, when you compare that to PAC's time under the WWE banner, his 6-year run as a sports entertainer actually brought with it a rather surprising success rate. According to ProFightDB.com, PAC as Neville sits in the top 10 WWE stars ever to wrestle over 25 matches when it comes to win percentages, boasting an impressive 79.10% after 421 matches for the company. Now sure, a lot of those victories came on the live show circuit over the years, but it still seems pretty insane to think that the Newcastle native came away with such a bigger WWE win rate than his AEW one, despite wrestling a whopping 300 plus more times for his former employer. Number 9, WWE's top 30 most active wrestlers in 2022 all wrestled more than AEW's most active. It likely won't come as that much of a surprise to hear that WWE's longtime undisputed tag team champions Jimmy and Jey Uso sat at the top of the pile when it came to matches wrestled in 2022 with a massive 140. What perhaps will catch you slightly off guard is a rather unexpected fact that comes to light when you compare AEW and WWE's most active workers during that 12-month spell. According to CageMatch.net, not one of AEW's 10 most active performers on the roster would have broken into WWE's when it comes to 2022. But even with AEW not quite having as many opportunities for their stars to perform each week, you'd still expect at least one All Elite performer to have matched a WWE star within the sports entertainment giant's top 10, right? The closest person to breaking into the upper echelons is Dante Martin with an impressive 64 bouts across the year. However, that very same number only sees him tying for 30th place with Madcap Moss and Rhea Ripley when comparing stats with WWE's most active list for 2022. Number 8, 51 out of 52 AEW Dynamites in 2022 only featured one women's match, whilst the average Raw has multiple. AEW still have some serious work to do when it comes to presenting their charismatic female workers and their male colleagues as equals. The fact a depressing 51 out of 52 Dynamites that went down last year came with just one women's match on the card, as highlighted in a particularly detailed Reddit post on Squared Circle, is a ridiculous stat that definitely reflects a promotion not doing all they can to elevate their female talent. Compare that to WWE's longtime flagship Monday Night Raw, a show that regularly sees a number of matches and segments involving the Red Show's many gifted ladies, and it's painfully clear that AEW are not giving their performers anywhere near the amount of time, stories, and opportunities in general on their own flagship needed to properly get over. Sure, Raw comes with an extra hour to fill each week, but it's not that uncommon to see numerous women's matches go down on the likes of SmackDown or NXT either, so that's hardly a sufficient excuse. And with 2023 once again largely only throwing out just the one women's match each and every week on Dynamite, here's hoping Collision can bring with it a bit more time for these brilliant women to shine in the coming months. Number 7, Kenny Omega was belt collecting before the Tribal Chief. It's only natural for passionate All Elite and sports entertainment fans to draw comparisons between the Tribal Chief and the Cleaner. Both of the AEW and WWE top guys have won the PWI Pro Wrestler of the Year awards in recent times. They've both main evented numerous events for their promotions, and they've both found themselves in the middle of easily the two most compelling long-term storylines of modern times. But there's also another similarity between the two that isn't as widely discussed in the average Kenny Omega versus Roman Reigns conversation. While Roman's dominant reign did actually kick off before Kenny's eventual run at the top of AEW in 2020, more on that later, the head of the table's eventual obsession with holding all the gold was something Omega actually explored earlier than his fellow top player. As AEW's resident belt collector, Kenny wasn't happy just screwing Jon Moxley out of the AEW gold with a little help from Don Callis and holding the AAA Mega Championship. He wanted everything. Impact World Championship gold would follow as Omega held all the gold he desired long before Reigns carried both the WWE and Universal straps and attempted to add undisputed tag gold to his collection. And similarly to Reigns down the road, Omega also boasted boasted a faction of trusted allies who helped him keep hold of his belts, with the likes of Callis, the Young Bucks, and the Good Brothers all performing similar roles to Paul Heyman, the Usos, and Solo Sikoa. Number 6, a fondness for corrupted souls. When it comes to the idea of a wrestler suddenly being ludicrously corrupted by a bunch of nefarious figures, both WWE and AEW are clearly big fans at this current moment. However, whilst the likes of the hugely successful Judgment Day and the House of Black may have a lot of things in common, corruption of course being one of them, they also feel rather disparate when placed side by side. Sure, both factions have a fondness for dark clothing and funky lighting, and both units have absolutely helped elevate all involved. But the dominant Malachi Black, Brody King, Buddy Matthews, and Julia Hart definitely embrace the more divisive, spooky side of life as a corrupted wrestling soul. Whereas the rotten to the core Finn Balor, Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio, and Damian Priest, while still capable of getting the job done in the ring, seem more interested in hilariously taking the piss out of their rivals than spitting mist into their eyes. Whether comical or supernatural, unquestionably absurd corruption is very much present in WWE and AEW though. And rather than leave fans rolling their eyes, both companies have surprisingly benefited from two entirely different takes on being turned to the dark side. Number 5, neither company has had a Meltzer 5-star rated women's match. It's important to note that Dave Meltzer's star rating system isn't gospel by any means, but that still hasn't stopped talents from popping at the news of earning a rare 5-star salute. Despite only being a promotion for just under 4 years, AEW currently boasts an astonishing 20 5-star or higher bouts according to Meltzer, whilst WWE actually only possesses 18 in total. What both companies currently and rather surprisingly have in common, however, is the fact neither have ever produced a 5-star Meltzer rated women's bout as of recording. Sure, a few have come pretty darn close. Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker's bloody 2021 St. Patrick's Day Slam Lights Out War on Dynamite, Charlotte Flair's last woman standing battle with Becky Lynch at Evolution 2018, and Flair's Ripper with Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 39 all earned 4.75 star ratings. Yet none of said contests were able to crack into this star-studded collection of all-time classics in Meltzer's mind. Number 4, Orange Cassidy and Gunter are doing the same thing with mid-card belts. One stands at 6 foot 4 inches tall and strikes fear into the hearts of just about any human he makes eye contact with. The other often resembles a lazy teenager dragging himself to a family gathering. However, the opposites known as the colossal Gunter and legendary layabout Orange Cassidy have actually both pulled off one hell of a feat in recent times. Ever since getting their hands on the Intercontinental and All-Atlantic turned International belts respectively, these lads have performed the miracle that is turning these nothing mid-card titles into something worth fighting for. Before freshly squeezed and the Ring General kicked off their dominant runs with the gold, the All-Atlantic strap was already feeling like yet another title too many for Tony Khan's heavily stocked promotion, and the historic IC Championship had struggled to make it onto PLEs for years. Yet in the time post Gunter and Cassidy victories in mid-2022, both anything but similar superstars have gone on to not only become outstanding fighting champs, but turn their titles into easily two of the most sought after prizes in wrestling today. Number 3, Chris Jericho's AEW World Title run lasted just 40 days less than his WWE World Title reigns combined. During his time as Le Champion of AEW, Chris Jericho would defend the strap on 3 occasions, holding onto his precious title for 182 days altogether. And while said reign would ultimately be overtaken by the likes of Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, and MJF in the years to come, that total of days as AEW World Champion still ranks as the veteran's longest individual reign with a world title ever. Hell, if you add up all of his individual runs as a world champion in his longtime former place of work, Jericho's total time as a WWE World Champion actually only comes to 219 days. So despite working as a WWE top star for nearly 2 decades, Jericho has already held a world championship in AEW for almost as long as he did in Vince McMahon's company. And if you want to include the ROH World Championship, a belt Jericho primarily defended on AEW TV, the Ocho has actually surpassed his number of days as a WWE top champ in less than 4 years as an all-elite wrestler. Admittedly, Jericho often acted as a transitional champion during his time as a WWE superstar, but it's still a bit crazy to think this WWE legend has already reigned as an AEW/Ring of Honor World Champion longer than he did a WWE/World Heavyweight Champion. Number 2, AEW sold more tickets and quicker than WWE did for their recent UK stadium return. The fact a company as young as AEW was able to move a staggering 36,000 tickets for a show on the other side of the pond during their first day on sale is already insane in its own right. But when you compare AEW's All-In 2023 success with WWE's own recent UK stadium outing by the name of Clash at the Castle, the company's efforts look even more impressive. For WWE's first UK stadium event in 30 years, 30,000 tickets were sold during the pre-sale stage, with an eventual attendance of 62,296 being announced on the night of the PLE itself. You always knew European fans were going to jump at the chance to finally witness the All Elite experience live after all these years, but few could have honestly predicted AEW filling a stadium the size of Wembley at this stage. Number 1, there have been 8 AEW World Champions since Roman Reigns won the Universal title. As WWE will never tire of reminding you, Roman Reigns has now held his Universal Championship for over 1,000 days. And though Tony Khan's promotion isn't exactly known for giving their world champions short runs with the top strap in the company, there have actually been a whopping 8 AEW World Champions during Roman's current reign. At the time of the Tribal Chief conquering Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt at Payback 2020, former Shield pal Jon Moxley was holding the AEW Gold. And in the near 3 years since then, Mox has picked up the title a few more times, of course, thanks to the bizarre summer of 2022. And the likes of CM Punk, MJF, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Adam Page have also memorably held the AEW World Championship. 3 of those post-Roman Universal title win reigns even made it past 193 days. Yet when compared to Reigns' 1,000 plus spell on top, even Kenny Omega's 346-day run of dominance feels relatively short. But who knows, perhaps Maxwell will find a way to hold on to Triple B long after the bidding war of 2024 and somehow make the Tribal Chief's staggering reign look positively mid by comparison. And that's our list. Know of any other absurd AEW versus WWE comparisons that make total sense? Well, let us know all about them in the comments section right down below, and don't forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button while you're down there. Also, if you're into this sort of stuff, then please head on over to whatculture.com and find some more fantastic articles just like the one this video you're watching right now is based on. I've been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. Cheers for stopping on by and watching this video today. Now go and check out some more What Culture Wrestling goodness on the channel and have yourself the best of days. See you later!